This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Oh, man, what a short, crazy weekend that we had at Fairlawn, Ohio. But I do want to apologize about my background. I can't get the lighting right at this time, and it's driving me crazy. I might have to try to change like location of where I've filmed this show in my house because I just don't like the way the sun and the way the lighting looks. So I apologize about that. But yeah, what a crazy week or weekend. I know you were there earlier than I was. I'm not sure if you were able to bowl league last week with all the craziness that we had, but we don't. So you don't have a league review then? Wait, you're on mute.
Sorry, no league review. I'm back this week. I'm back this week though.
Back this week. Cool. All right, Mike. Well, where do you want to start? I know you were there a couple days earlier. You were there to actually watch the TOC, right, on Wednesday. Well, like, what was going on out there? Like, let's just get right into it. Talk about your experience being there, watching some of the match play.
Yeah, I mean, always entertaining to me when I can watch some live PBA action, especially at a major. Now, there were two things that detracted from my experience on Wednesday and Thursday. Got into town Wednesday around 5 p.m. Match play block started at 6 p.m. They had betting. Bet Rivers had betting for that match play block. And I did okay. I did all right. I didn't have a great night, but I had an okay night. Made a few bucks. Rode Jesper. Somebody came to me early in the block and was like, ride Jesper. And I was like, okay, we're going to do that. And he went undefeated for the night. So that was good. And then Thursday, no bets. Bet Rivers. You're breaking my heart. No lines the whole day. No lines for the 11 a.m. block. No lines for the 6 p.m. block. So I did go over and watch for a bit, but I didn't go and watch for the whole time. Just because, as you know, there was other stuff going on, and we had a lot of people in town that we were hanging out with and, kind of, chilling and spending some time with. So I didn't want the bowling center to monopolize all my time. But I did go over and watch in each block, at least for a little while. And yeah, it was clear. It was clear very early on. And I don't think you had to be there watching in person to see this either. The lefties had it. The lefties had it, and they were going to eat. They were going to feast. That was very clear very early on.
So I on that point real quick, I sent out a tweet a few days ago. Do you think it's a weird coincidence that we went 0 out of top 43 of lefty ratio the week prior at the Players, that all of a sudden this week at a historically a not so friendly lefty house at Riviera, where there's 6-7 of the top 10 were left-handed? I mean, thoughts on that?
We actually went back and took a look at the stats from the last couple of years too.
I did,
and lefties did not dominate this event the last couple of years in this building, right? So I don't know. I mean, honestly, I do not have the technical knowledge to answer that. But I understand that the optics of it are easy to look at and say conspiracy. I get it. I get what you're saying. Do I think that's the case? No, probably not. I think it's probably some other less nefarious explanation.
Well, we
But
do have a technical
it is
explanation.
noticeable, though. It is noticeable.
We did get a technical explanation about it. We did talk to a player who I'm not going to name. We talked to a very prominent player, a very awesome player. And I brought this subject up when we were having a conversation because we talked to a lot of people. I mean,
how awesome was this whole thing? Like we're going to talk about it, but yes, I mean it was amazing. It was like bowler's dream type experience for us. But
it was, and we had that conversation, and for this tournament specifically, they used the Kegel machine. When in the prior TOCs, they were using Brunswick machines, and the person who's
not something you would think would make a huge difference, right? But what was explained to us is the way that the Kegel machines lay the oil in the lane versus the way the Brunswick machines lay the oil on the lane is completely different process that can radically impact how the patterns play.
Right. And it was a very valid explanation. I don't know enough about it to argue, right, at that point. So at that point, I have to believe this person because this person has knowledge of the industry more than just bowling, very technical, knows lay machines, knows equipment, and a very valid explanation. Now I'm thinking to myself, man, like, how do I figure that? I might have to start asking those questions when a tournament's beginning and I'm thinking about putting bets in. Are they using a Kegel? Or are they using a Brunswick? Are they using the machine at the house? Because that happens too, where they might use the machine at the house. They've done it prior. It's not, I don't think as common as it used to be. Just another factor to think about when a tournament is being bowled, like what machine did they use?
Yeah, and we have somebody in the chat commenting on the specifics of the differences between the Brunswick and the Kegel machine. So interesting to find out that a factor as simple as that could have such a major impact. Just want to bring this comment up for a second. Dr. Barnes, what's good? Dr. Barnes in the chat, and he says, Big Mike, top 3 introduction in my history at the Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
Very well done. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I honestly, like, anybody who texted me, tweeted me, came up to me, I appreciate it so much. I do. So many people reached out to me, came up to me, approached me, DM'd me, et cetera, and just said, that was an amazing intro. Great job.
So,
and yeah, it just
let's talk about your intro real quick.
All right.
While we're on the subject. You did an amazing job.
One quick point. So the no betting put a damper on things for me, but Bill not making the top 24 put a damper on things for our crew. How large of a crew would he have had if he made that top 20? We would have been rocking that building because it was a small place and it was very tightly packed. And yeah, I mean, it would have been, and you know what? It actually probably worked out for the better, to be honest with everybody, because Bill had so many people in town and so many people to entertain that if he had to concentrate on bowling, it might have been a little too much. But for me personally, just loving the bowling as much as I do, that was tough. I was driving to Ohio, listening to the last block of qualifying. I made my wife and kids sit there and listen to the Bowl TV broadcast. Couldn't even watch it because I was driving. So I was just listening to it. And they're going through the scores and they're recapping. And I'm telling my wife, check Bill's score. And he was making a little bit of a run. And then, it came a little bit short. But, yeah, it was great week, just 2 things. But go ahead. My intro. Go ahead.
To just respond to that point, just like the 5 of us, like even at a show we're watching Bill, I'm talking the 5 of us, I'm talking like me, you, Butler, PJ Haggerty, and like Darren Flowers, who's there, would have absolutely been the loudest people in that building, and it would have made everybody seem like no one was around. I mean, you saw when me and Butler got together watching Bill on a step ladder, like, and that was just the two of us. Like, throw, you know, a PJ, you throw you know, you in there, and then, you know, throw Darren in there, and it just becomes an absolute and Bill's brother. Like, I mean, don't forget about Bill's brother, who could get really loud too. It would have been a crazy scene with all the kids. It would have been nuts. Anyway, to your intro, I think first off, you did an amazing job, and I agree. You had you and Bill had a very hard slot because you guys were in the last, and there was already 3 Hall of Fame inductions. There was ceremonies for awards. There was, you know, some of the speeches for the inductees went really long, and you had a very hard job because at that point, people have already been there 3-4 hours. They've been drinking, eating, right? Everybody already ate, had dessert. And you had to go up there and like re-energize everybody essentially, right? And you did it. And you did it great. There's nothing better than having a speech that keeps everybody engaged, that was authentic, and that had a ton of emotions, right? It was funny, right? We laughed half the time. There was emotions where I was shedding tears, specifically when you brought up Bill's family picture. And you know, it was a little bit sad that Bill's parents weren't there to see it. Bill's father was so ingrained in Bill's game, and you know, even Bill, when he's talked about his Hall of Fame speech, about how his father would analyze every shot of a tournament and talk to him about it, and then you brought up Bill's 8th grade picture, which actually was probably a good picture compared to some of the other ones that I've seen.
I had worse options, I'll say that, but
you did. You could have pulled up his license from high school, which was, we used to pass it around at parties and laugh at him. But it was an amazing speech. And then Bill, you kind of set it up, and then Bill like just kind of knocked it out of the park. So it was definitely a 1-2 punch. And it ended the night on a really, really actually great, in my opinion, like great note. Everybody left there with like, wow, that was awesome. So kudos to you, man. Public speaking sucks, but you're very comfortable doing it. I would imagine years of being a teacher, you always talk about it. But this is a whole different situation, getting up in front of, you know, hundreds of people. On top of that, hundreds more watching, right? Across, and people going to watch the tape of it, right? Or the restream, which you can watch on Bowl TV. You just have to go to archives. I'm going to try to get it, someone to cut it out. Maybe Jimmy could do that if he's in the chat. Maybe cut out your intro and then Bill's speech, and then we could just put it up on our page. I'm not sure we could do that.
I don't know if we could get permission from the PBA or what we would have to do that. But
anyway, awesome. You can fast forward it if you go to Bowl TV archives and listen to yourselves. I recommend anybody who's a Bill O'Neill fan to do it, not just because it was just amazing speech by him and you, but just because you do get a good first row seat of Bill's, of what he's really like, his upbringing, of how he really like got to that point. And I still think he doesn't believe it in a way, right? When I talked to him, he just was just like, this is kind of surreal for me. I mean, me and you always knew he was going to the Hall of Fame, I think, you know, especially after college and what he did in the college bowling scene. But man, what an amazing night. But there was some interesting conversations we had. We had met a lot of people that had some interesting things to say. And, you know, we got a few juicy tidbits, I think.
Well, I'll just say, I mean, one of the most shocking things of the night to me was how many times Sweep the Rack came up outside of my speech. Because I thought I'm the only person who's going to acknowledge it. I'm the only, like, that's why I started the way I started, with kind of some self-depreciating humor, you know, just to get it out of the way and acknowledge it. But, yeah, several people mentioned the podcast, mentioned Sweep the Rack. It was crazy. It was awesome at the same time. So, yeah, really, really cool to see that as well. But, yeah, it was just awesome to be in that environment, be at that event. especially to people like me and you who are not only bowlers ourselves and friends with Bill and fans of Bill, but fans of bowling in general, right? I mean, we are fans of a lot of the guys in that room, right? And yeah, it was great. It was awesome. I mean, I can't say enough about it, and Bill's speech was just tremendous. It was so good, and it was funny to me that him and I didn't talk at all, not a single word about what we were going to do or what we were going to say or what he was going to say or what I was going to say. So I was a little nervous about the way I was going with it, not knowing what he was going to do. But then after he started his speech, I was like, "Oh, this is just perfect. It's just perfect. It's like I just set it up for him so perfectly." So yeah, it was great. And again, I'm as I said numerous times, I'm really honored that he asked me, and I'm humbled that he asked me, and and to all of his friends, realize that I know that I was up there representing all of us, so I had that in mind. I had that in mind while I was writing it too, and I had to cut a lot of it. I'm not gonna lie, like me, Rob. I'll go on and on and on. I'll just, I won't stop. And I want to give a shout out to Janae Haggerty. I need to give her a shout out because I had a conversation with her about, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or so. And I was reaching out to her just to see if it was okay for me to put up a couple pictures during the speech because I didn't really want to like break from tradition or do something. You know what I didn't want people to be like, "Oh, like we don't do that here." So she told me, "No, it's okay. Like other people have used pictures in the past. It doesn't happen often, but people do it." And she talked to me a little bit about the event and the night, and the main thing that she wanted to get across to me is exactly what you were talking about before, that we were going last, and it's a long night, and people, by the time that those last speakers come up, people are kind of like, all right, let's go, let's wrap this up. So she said, definitely, short is the key. Keep it short. And I had to cut a lot from it, and I'm totally okay with that. But yeah, I did have a section in it at one time where I shouted out a lot of people that I knew Bill probably wasn't going to get to in his speech, and I had to cut it and I had to take it out. But yeah, it was definitely cognizant and not lost on me that I was up there representing a lot of people. Not just me. So shout to all the Bill O'Neill people. I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. I'm so happy it went over so well. I couldn't be happier, honestly. And yeah, like I said, honor of a lifetime for me to be able to do that for Bill and the event in general. I mean, like you said, it was just an amazing week, amazing long weekend, I would say.
And Janae, anybody know who Janae is? Janae is PJ's wife. She was in charge of setting up the whole event. And she did an amazing job. The PBA did an amazing job. The dinner was great. The food was really good. They had, bars, open bars. They really did a good job. And I'm thankful I was able to do it at least once in my life, which probably will be my first and last induction dinner I get a chance to attend, because I don't think anybody else is really who makes it into the Hall of Fame is going to invite me or you. I can't imagine that happening. But just a cool experience. And I'll tell you a few moments of my night that were really interesting to me. Is I was blown away because Tommy DeLutz was there. And Tommy DeLutz is a guy who is a Flushing, Queens native. He is a huge Met fan. Tommy DeLutz used to drill my stuff when I was 16, 17 years old. My mom used to drive me to Whitestone Lanes, and he owned the pro shop there. And he did some of the best work in the pro shop that I've experienced in my life. And I was able to have a chance to talk to Tommy for about 15, 20 minutes. And I haven't seen him I'm 17, I'm 43 now. So you're talking almost 25 years. And Tommy DeLutz, Robert Hamill in the chat is saying Milk Carton. I kept saying that to Mike. I was just like, Milk Carton Award is definitely going to Tommy DeLutz. I had a conversation with Mika, and I crossed with Mika once at a regional, and he gave me some shit about missing too many spares. and I asked him if I know you don't remember this story, Mika, but you did tell me I missed too many spares once at a regional, and he just was laughing. Mika's always kind of a humble guy who who finished in 12th, by the way, and he might win an award later. But I mean, still throwing it great, still looks great. So that was kind of the cool moments for me. I was able to chat with some of the higher up people. Tyler, if anybody doesn't know Tyler, Jespin is the did I get his last name right? Jensen. He's the head of Storm now, and I've known him for a long time. So I got a chance to catch up with him for about 15 minutes. I was like, man, you're important now, huh? Just kind of giving him some shit for being the boss. Got the chance to speak with Tom, spoke with the documentary producers, which was cool that's going on right now. So there was a lot of conversations that we could kind of go on and probably talk hours about. But those are some of the few highlights that I had. It was just pretty cool to be able to be there in such bowling greatness, Mike, and us being just
off the
rail fans, like
it was wild. It was wild. It really was. Charlie Tapp saying in the chat, Bill was also inducted to the College Hall of Fame Wednesday night in Vegas, and any of you guys there, I'm gonna say it. So actually, Charlie, Bill had asked Rob to go and accept the award for him and speak on his behalf at the College Hall of Fame, but Rob wanted to come to this. He wanted to come to the PBA Hall of Fame induction. So I think Bill recorded a thing for the College Hall of Fame induction, if I'm correct. And Charlie, I also want to know how'd your team finish out there? I know you helped coach Trine University, and I know you guys were headed to nationals. So let me know how you guys finished out there. Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, so many highlights, right? But meeting some of the fans. I mean, for the first time, I ran into someone in public who had a Sweep the Rack shirt on. That was amazing. Adam Lemerise is in the chat. Got to catch up with him and chat for a little bit. And just the number of people who came up, said, "Yo, Big Mike, what's up? Love the show." It's awesome. Yeah, I say it all the time. You can go back and hear it a million times. I probably said it. I can't believe anybody listens to that. I mean, it's like, all right, great, cool. It's amazing to me. So to run into people in the bowling center who are fans of what we do here is really cool. And yeah, just all the interactions that I had at the Hall of Fame dinner. I mean, numerous people coming up to me telling me what a great job I did, how much they enjoyed the speech. Probably two really meaningful ones to me were probably Stu Williams and Frankie Lavoie coming up to me and saying, "Yo, that was really good, nice job." Because I know they're two guys who are known to be pretty entertaining out there on tour amongst the guys. So I figured if they enjoyed it, then I would imagine that most people enjoyed it.
On the Frankie note, I did speak to Frankie for like 15, 20 minutes. And Frankie looks, when you see him on TV, he's very reserved. He's very quiet. And we've given him shit about it for being on the show before when Frankie was a guest. But having a conversation with him was awesome in the sense that he's very, very conversational. Like we talked for a while, and it was cool to just see a lot of these guys like off TV and just talking to them. We've had him on guests, but just kind of casual conversations. And what a cool, composed kid Frankie is. Had a lot of good conversation about bowling, and we talked some other stuff too. But anyway, there's a few things I want to touch on. Some of the conversations we had, which has been kind of circles back at some of the current things that are going on in the bowling world, and I think people might be interested.
Before you do, can I just bring this up real quick? Con House in the chat says, "Got to shout out Blake Walsh from Australia, winning the ISC championship as a freshman." Well, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Top that off with a first team All-American and a Rookie of the Year. Okay, all right.
Yeah, Belmo gave him a shout, I think, on his social media.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So, yeah. Okay, I got to talk TV deal. Okay, because I was asking a little bit about it when I was having conversations, and there is a sense of a little bit of worries. A lot of people are worried, especially some of the pros, which is rightfully so. Tom Clark made a speech, and he talked about how he's very optimistic the TV deal or some kind of streaming deal is going to get done, and there's gonna be a tour in 2026. I believe him. Now, where that's going, I'm not too sure. I do have to talk about some points that I think maybe everybody's under the impression, but I really believe from my conversations that it's not the case. I really believe this is the whole Fox TV deal of what's going on right now with them possibly not renewing. It more and more looks that way. And this is all speculation. Like I said, these are just conversations. Nobody really knows what's going on, but just people get sense and feelings and stuff. I rumor and word on the street is Bolero is the really reason. And I'm talking the sole reason why this TV deal with Fox isn't or probably is not going to happen. Fox was actually at the negotiating table, from my understanding, and the Bolero sent in a guy to do these deals with Fox, and Bolero tried to flex on Fox in a way where they were over asking for some stuff, for some items, and Fox just wasn't having any of it, and the negotiation just went sideways. And I don't know. I don't think Fox is going to get back to the negotiating table. It doesn't look that way at this point. So if anybody is going to take blame for the Fox deal not renewing, in my opinion, the sole blame needs to be on the higher ups at Bolero or whoever was in charge of those negotiations. I don't think Tom Clark should take any kind of blame or bullets for this deal not getting renewed. I think personally, from what I heard in conversations, that if the PBA or Bolero would have came in and happy with the current deal that they have, I think a deal would have been done. And I think Fox was happy with the current deal. And I think as bowlers and fans who wouldn't be happy with the deal they have right now, with all the TV time they get from Fox Sports 1, from Big Fox. We saw it this weekend, 2 shows, Saturdays. Like
Fox was giving them so much, they had to change what they were doing to provide more content. Now, we could sit here and argue about whether we like what they did or if it should have been used differently. Or I'm not talking about that. I'm saying they were giving them so much that they had to add content, right? And let's be clear, Rob. The person who's in charge of the negotiation for Bolero is Lev Exter, okay, from Bolero. You know, that's the person who was charged with negotiating this deal with Fox, right? And yeah, everything that we're hearing is that Fox is done. People in the chat are saying that Randy pretty much said goodbye to Rob Stone during the show today. I would agree with that. So all signs point to Fox being a closed door at this point. Okay, concerning, very concerning. Right now, do you want to talk about what is being heard in terms of what next year might look like or where that might end up, etc.?
I've heard some streaming services that we brought up last week. I've heard, and that's kind of as far as I've heard. Mike, what streaming services? It was like maybe CW Sports, right? That you like we heard. There was some maybe another streaming service, but I don't see. From what I've been hearing, I don't see this going on any big like broadcasts like an ABC, a CBS, obviously an ESPN. I don't see it getting back to that. I see it going to some type of sports streaming service that is a little bit on the secondary of like the mainstream. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And Victor says any stream service will be a downgrade from Fox. Well, yeah, I believe because Fox is free, right? It's free. If you have local stations, you don't even need cable at this point to watch Fox. So anything other than the current Fox deal that's not on a CBS or an ABC is a step back for the PBA, in my opinion. The Fox deal they had now was more than enough what the PBA needed.
Well,
can
I make a quick point too? It's also about numbers. Okay, like PBA on Fox is getting 3 million, 4 million viewers, right? And a lot of those viewers are there just because they come across it, they put it on. Maybe they come in from the thing that was on before. If it goes to a streaming service, they're lucky if those numbers are 300,000. Okay, and I'm not sure that people realize that. Like no bowling, PBA bowling is not going to drive massive amounts of subscribers to these streaming services. It's just not, it's not reality. Nico's in the chat. What's up, Nico? Saying, so you're saying it could be on Amazon or Netflix? No, we're saying that it's highly unlikely that it would be picked up by a bigger, more well-known streaming service, right? We're saying it's much more likely that it's picked up by a smaller streaming service. And I guess, Rob, then that begs the question, well, what does that look like? Right? And what does the tour look like on that? Are they going to want as much content as Fox did? Are there going to be as many events, as many tournaments? Is the scheduling going to be the same? When is the tour going to? I mean, there's just so many questions that come out of these changes, right? And if we assume for a second, if we go down the road of negative thought, which I love to do sometimes, if we go down the road of negative thought a little bit, if a lot of this means negative impact in terms of less tournaments, less shows, less exposure, less money, then you have to start asking questions about what that means for, who's bowling, who's not. Are guys willing to go out and bowl for, a percentage of what they're bowling for now?
I think it will definitely affect specifically guys like Belmonte, right? I just don't see a guy like Belmo bowling a tour that has significantly less money and significantly less tournaments. I see him rather retiring, right? And we were around Belmo for 2 days. I mean, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him about any of it. But I could see definitely that affecting. And what kind of tour would it be if someone like Belmonte wasn't on tour, knowing fully that he could still compete, and he is still competing, right? So it's going to be interesting, and we'll see a lot of unanswered questions, Mike, that we don't have answers for.
Jacob Kerstetter in the chat. What's up, Jacob? Saying it's a shame Fox was happy with the current deal, and it sounds like Bolero got a little too greedy. I think that's an excellent summary.
Excellent.
I think that's an excellent way to sum it up. I think you're hitting the nail right on the head there. And he says, and now we might not receive any live coverage. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as that, Jacob, but it's definitely going to be different, right? It's definitely going to be different. There's no question about that.
I'll never let the
my personal sense, Rob, is I just don't sense any of this is all that good.
Yeah.
I just, it's hard for me to envision how this ends up spinning as a positive,
right,
when all is said and done.
So let me be clear here. If this Fox deal doesn't get renewed, which it looks that way, it feels that way, and we end up on some secondary streaming service that has less tournaments, less money, I personally, as a content creator, as a podcast host, will never, ever let Bolero Lucky Strike live it down. I will go fully against Lucky Strike in any kind of sense, because this it's a tragedy that they send some guy in there to do these negotiations and they blow it. And like I said, what?
Lev blew it.
If that's the case, it's going to be, oh man, You remember that opening scene of Gladiator, Mike, when he's like, unleash hell? Remember that? That's going to be me, and I'm going to be literally unleashing hell, and it's going to be just nonstop, like, just battering and hate for what they did. And specifically this guy, whoever he is, if I ever run into him somewhere, it could get a little bit ugly, Mike. And it just puts a bad taste in my mouth because they had a great deal. The players were happy. The fans were happy. Nobody could say a bad thing about what Fox was doing for the PBA. And
we had
for
Rob
them to go
Stone in our corner.
Terrible. And we'll see. I'm not unleashing hell yet because obviously we have to wait and see how this thing plays out. But ultimately, it's a bad thing. All right, Mike.
Hold on, we got to bring up a couple comments here. Lumber Flexual in the chat says we need that documentary to come out in time for the PBA to use it as marketing promo to TV providers. Okay, here's the problem with that. The problem with that is that it's not going to come out that quickly, right? We know that. So hopefully it still comes out, right? That's number one. Number two, when it comes out, hopefully it creates some buzz and generates some interest and buzz. And third, when it does create some buzz, maybe that will allow the PBA to kind of go in a downswing for a year, but then perhaps come back up, with the help of that documentary. I want to bring up Kev's comment here too. It's pretty jaw-dropping when you look at the overall amount of damage that Bolero has done to bowling, just a trail of destruction. Interesting. Here's some speculation for you, Rob. Maybe Bolero, this is Jay in the chat, maybe Bolero self-sabotage to get out of the sport bowling and get into entertainment bowling only.
I mean, the guy who owned Bolero talked about, was that Tom Shannon? Does that sound right? I don't want to mess up a name because people will get on me. Talked about how it was a marketing, like, we talked about more of that, where it's an investment in them essentially for the PBA to market like Lucky Strikes. So people in the corporate world always, you never know what kind of money you get back investment when you are investing in marketing. It's really hard to get a return on your money when you're investing in marketing. So guess what happens when you're losing money as a company or you're trying to cut costs? Usually the first expenses that are trying to get costs are usually marketing costs or marketing expenses. And I mean, who knows, right? Maybe you're right. Maybe they did self-sabotage because they don't want to spend as much money in the marketing game. I don't know, but it's a lot of speculation at this point. I don't know what happened at that meeting. I would love to have been a fly on the wall, but it's not a good thing at this point. We'll see what happens. Maybe bowling comes out better from it, but yeah. I mean,
so many good comments in the chat. Charlie, do we hear anything about HBO? Yes, but I don't hear anything related to that as in terms of a place where the PBA might land. Charlie also says live bowling from the STR studios. I don't know. We going to be running the sweep the rack open next year? I don't know. Kevin says, quote, make them an offer they have to refuse, unquote.
We should make a shirt.
Bolero. That's great.
We should make a shirt.
Where, Mike Flanagan, are you listening? Get this shirt up. Get this shirt up on the site. We need that. Okay.
That would be great.
Another interesting question here. Where is Bowl TV in all this? That's a great question. If they go to a streaming service, does Bowl TV still get to, broadcast the qualifying, or is the streaming service going to want to broadcast the qualifying? I don't know. I think that's another interesting question.
Anyway, so that was one of the topics I was bringing up casually to try to figure out where people's heads were at, and it was interesting. Pete wants to know if we pushed the betting integration of the PBA at the Hall of Fame. Yes, I did talk some betting at some high level. I did too. I did too.
And I'm going to tell you something, Pete. I'm going to tell you something. And, the players themselves love anyway, they all know I'm betting when I'm in there, when I'm watching. They love it. They love that people are betting on them. They're all about it. They agree. A lot of them agree that is the path. That is the way that we need to take. Right. So yes, I talked about it everywhere. I talked
I
about it
do believe
everywhere.
Tom, and I do believe Tom Clark is on the same page as that too. We've had interviews with him, and he loves it. I had some conversation with the players, and I'm like, "Yo, I made some money on you," and they were just laughing. They were like, "When?" And I would tell them, and they would get a real big kick out of it. But yeah, they need to push the betting. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. The other topic I want to real touch on, Mike, or a few actually others before we get into the TOC, is the vape gate. Okay. So the one interesting point that I heard about vape gate is I think Sean Rash is taking a lot of heat for people are thinking that he's the one that actually turned in Belmo for the supposed him vaping. And that was not the case. Sean Rash had nothing to do with the person that actually turned in Belmonte. And I want to be very clear about that because people calling Rash a snitch. He's calling that, Rash is taking a lot of heat for that Facebook post. But I do want to be very clear that he was not the one who turned him in. When Rash found out that what he did is kind of when he went and did his thing on Facebook and then took a lot of heat for it. So it definitely is hopefully the last time we ever talk about it. I think we both agreed. We talked about this with numerous people that this was just complete nonsense. The whole thing was just nonsense. I'm done with the topic, Mike, but that was the other thing that I kind of thought that was pretty interesting because everybody out there in the internet world is under the impression that this was like Sean Rash turning in Belmo on something, and it wasn't. Wait, you're on mute.
Sorry, I don't have anything to say on that.
Okay. Real quick, I've also had some string pin conversations with some proprietors, right? That were there, and everything that we talked about with string pins, cutting down long-term costs on bowling centers, is true, and it's people are always saying, well, that's not the case, whatever. The people that I spoke to that are owning bowling centers have nothing but amazing things to say about the very high-end string pin setters. And it's just something that I wanted to be clear because I put up a reel on us talking about string pins and about how it would cut costs 30% or whatever. And there was a lot of just negativity and hate and pessimistic just attitude on string pins. I'm quitting if string pins are implemented, and I'm never bowling again, and it's the death of the sport, and all of these negative things. And everything that I talked about string pins was that, yes, it would cost money to install them and to put them in, but the long term, talking after 3-4 years of paying back the cost to put them in, the amount of money they save in just everything, power, mechanics, breakdowns, parts, all of it saves money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how many lanes they have on a yearly basis. And ultimately over a 10 to 20 years, it will save bowling alleys millions of dollars. So I eventually foresee a company like a Bolero, who is very much a corporation, publicly traded, will look to start doing that road because of all the money they would save. Obviously, all the bowling centers they own. So, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of bring that up too, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that that's the way things are going to go. I just don't think there's any debate in it. It's like, to me, it's almost like we're going through what we went through in the mid to late 90s, where synthetic lanes were the new rage, and a lot of people were upset. Oh, synthetic lanes, they should be wood, and look where we're at now. How many bowling centers are there that have good playable wood lanes? I mean, I know there's some that have wood lanes, but I would argue that the majority of places that have wood lanes are probably so beat up by this point that they're not even really playable for real competition. And synthetic lanes are everywhere. A bowling center would never even consider putting in wood lanes. In fact, now if you put in wood lanes, people would say, "Oh, wood lanes. Oh, I like." I mean, it's totally going in the opposite direction, right? Uh, I don't
Yeah.
know how long it's going to take, and I think that you have an interesting combination of things going on here, right? Like how many mom and pop privately owned bowling centers are going to close before they get straight pins, right? To me, that is more likely to happen than places like that get straight pins, because it's just hard for me to imagine that they have the capital to put up, and knowing that it's going to take them X amount of years to recoup that, right? So that's one aspect to me. The other aspect to me is, yeah, then you have the corporate owned places, Bolero, and they're very likely to go that direction because they do have the capital to make those kinds of changes very easily, right? So, and they own a lot of bowling centers, so they could probably get a better deal on installing the string pins from a company if they're going to do 300 plus centers as opposed to one center, right?
Yeah, the one other aspect I learned about string pins that I didn't know is that some of the high advanced string pin machines that you could put into a bowling center, they actually have different settings. There's like a recreation setting and there is a competitive setting that you could actually set on the string pins. And what that means is that when you set it on a competitive like setting, it makes the string pins at a length that is more prone to look like free fall. And when it's on a recreation setting, the length of the string from the string on the string pin is actually a different length than the competitive, and that will, I guess, be just a different setting and more of probably save more money if you have it on the recreation side, which the recreation people, they don't really care about if the pins like have a free, like if they don't really care usually. So that was the other interesting aspect. I don't know what the lengths of the competitive and the lengths of the recreation. I don't know like the inch wise, but I did talk to someone very reputable about that, and to me that was interesting because I didn't even know that was a thing you could do on a string pin setter. So
Okay.
just something to think about. All right, enough for string pins. All right, are you ready? Do you want to get into the TOC awards? Okay.
Well, let's run the ladder.
Okay.
Let's run the ladder first.
Do you want to run the full ladder, or you want to just run the ladder from today?
We can summarize yesterday's ladder. No.
Yeah, we could summarize it.
Right looked terrible. Kevin Williams can't make a spare. Yes, is that a fair summary for everybody on show number one?
Fair summary. And that's not fair. I mean, AJ Johnson being the only right-handed player on a show where the right was tough on the fresh was definitely putting him in a disadvantage. There's no doubt in my mind that if there was righties before him, I think he would have had a little bit of a better look. But this specific tournament being the only righty on the show worked against him. So yeah, that was a tough show for him. And yeah, I mean, just lefty dominant, really, when it comes down to it. So crazy match.
Kevin Williams can't make a spare. If Kevin Williams makes a spare, he wins.
What did he miss again? I fell asleep during that match. I was on 2 hours of sleep.
Why is this escaping me?
Anybody in the chat? I'm sure people know. What did he miss?
Was it a 6 pin?
I don't remember. I fell asleep. I woke up and Butcher already was in the ninth, like
Either
winning.
way, ridiculous.
All right.
Ridiculous.
So let's talk today's show. I mean, this was a show for Buttriff. This was a Buttriff show that I really think he had a really good chance to win. I think when he bowled Kevin McCune, I think Kevin made some pretty decent shots in that match, considering they were tough, using that IQ 78. I just think he didn't make enough good shots. I think he had a few shots where he missed in, and like Butters had a great look. I mean, he wasn't missing the pocket. I think he threw one bad shot in that match, and he ended up bowling pretty good. Had a great look. Urethane looked really good on the left, and was able to kind of strike when he needed in an attempt to beat Kevin. It's pretty much right.
Yeah, I made a lot of money on that match. I had Buttriff -9, Buttriff straight, and Buttriff parlayed with the under, I believe, which did not hit. But I made some money on that match.
I called you too before that match.
Yeah.
And I said, and you could vouch for me here. I said to you, Mike, for Bet Rivers to have these guys at Kevin and Jacob at both -117 or -115 is a tragedy, because how AJ shot looked on the right, and Kevin is his angles are similar to AJ's, right? Now Kevin throws it harder, and has more rev rate, but for them to see what AJ had and for what Buttriff had yesterday, there's no way that Buttriff shouldn't have been favored in that match. He should have been favored for sure. And Buttriff should have been like a -160, and Kevin McCune should have been like a +125. I think like that's where I would have set the match. So I put some decent sized bets on Butters too to beat Kevin, just because the left was so much better on yesterday's show. Then he bowls EJ Tackett. And what do I say to you? How are you going to bet on a righty right now? There's no smart money in would have put even EJ Tackett, probably, PBA Player of the Year this year again, right? And best bowler in the world right now. There's no one that could probably deny that. And here we are betting on Buttriff because of how bad the right looked. And Kevin made him look decent, but you knew EJ was going to struggle a little bit because of how many boards he crosses in general, right? And EJ made it a match until the ninth frame when he left that washout. So, I mean, the smart money, we bet on EJ. Again, we bet on Butters again. We pressed Butters again on this match.
I crushed that one.
And
Butters
we both made
-9. No, they had Butters +9. They were given Butters 9 pins. I hit that. I hit Butters straight, and I hit Butters in the under in that game.
Yeah, it was.
He almost gave it away.
He did.
He almost gave it away.
He almost missed another 2-4-7.
Yeah.
But he won, and he beat Tackett. He was plus that game, and we made money on that.
Okay.
And then we got it. And then this
point,
was the match.
I had turned $100 original bet into almost 500 going into game 3. I was very, very excited. I was like, we are rolling here in the PBA TOC. And then everything came off the rails.
And then the wheels fell off.
Because we felt that Buttriff's look was going away.
It was.
We felt that his spare shooting was shaky.
It was.
In that second game. Okay. And we both felt like Graham Fa's the best lefty on tour this year. Right.
But
so,
there's a big.
So we rode Graham Fa super heavy. Okay. I had $250 in bets on that single game. Okay. $100 on Fa +9.5. $100 or $50 on five. No, $100 on five straight, $50 on five and the under. And this guy comes out after I haven't seen a lefty throw reactive all my whole time in the building, all weekend, all week. This dude comes out throwing reactive. What is going on, son? Like I need an explanation on that for real. Like, and then to make matters worse, he comes out throwing reactive, and the first shot is runaway. So I'm thinking, okay, he must have just switched to that ball because he didn't really like what he had with urethane, and now he's going to go back after that first shot. Gets up on the other lane and sticks with the reactive ball, and he never got out of it for the whole game. And he bowled terribly, and I just don't understand that decision at all. Zero.
During your speech, the Hall of Fame induction Friday night, you talked about us being armchair quarterbacks questioning every decision pros make on the television shows, and you gave us a little shade. I'm not gonna lie, but this criticism is well deserved, and I love Graham Fah's game. I personally put a tweet out there, probably clouded him. Sorry, Graham. That he is my favorite lefty on tour, meaning like his game is my favorite. When the left is there and the left has a good shot, Graham is usually, in the past year and two, is usually one of the lefties that is kind of taken over that like Matt Russo spot, right? Where Matt Russo kind of fell off this year because of the motive switch. Graham has kind of stepped up. This decision to throw resin and stand 2 arrows right of Buttriff, trying to throw it out to like 2 or 3, was one of those decisions that it should be criticized. And it didn't help that we had a ton of money on him to win this match. And I was just like you thinking, okay, he threw it a good shot. He went runaway Brooklyn, or maybe he was slow. Maybe he'll go and switch quick back to the urethane. If I knew that he was going to throw resin in that match, I wouldn't have put $1 on him. And I would have just pumped Buttriff again. And that's the God's honest truth. And I literally didn't know. I was speechless. And I was texting you, and I was so angry about it. And yeah,
I feel the same way.
I wish I wish they would show practice. God, if I could be there for practice, I could give you. We could have made so many smarter bets. So anyway, but Buttriff rolls in that match. Graham didn't have a chance. Okay. So now we get into the final match, and you got Butters versus Svensson. Okay. I'm very critical of Jesper Svensson, right? I'm always critical of him because of just
as of late, you have been. I don't think that's been a consistent thing for long. I think it's just there's been a few situations over the last season and a half where, he struggled to make the moves that he has to make to keep himself competitive. Yeah.
I think his strategy on that last match was brilliant. Was brilliant. He could have fell into the trap of being like, well, Buttriff is, winning matches and bowling in the 230s, 270s, playing right and trying to like bump it off 5. And his strategy is the reason why he won that match. He was using his speed and his rev rate, and Randy, rightfully so, made that observation that he was using his speed and his rev rate to stay left and stay out of the middle of the lane trouble that Buttriff created for himself. And him being able to just bang it up 5 was the reason why he won that match. Buttriff, on the other hand, Buttriff really caused that last game with all the urethane pushed down in transition created him, put himself in jail. He put himself in jail that last game. And look, his shot was just gone by that time. And Jesper could have tried to been where Buttriff was, watching Buttriff, but Jesper decided to go against the grain and just play up 5 and not deal with any of the middle of the lane bullshit, and ended up having a great look. And really, really all he had to do was just stay around, and Buttriff didn't have any shot, was just kind of fall apart, and that's exactly what it was. Jesper won that match in the third or fourth frame, Mike.
Yeah, the difference between Jesper and the other lefties on that show today were that Jesper can get further left and play those straighter angles better than the other lefties on that show today. You know, I feel like Buttriff and Fa, they like to shape it a little bit. You know, Fa can definitely play the crack and play straight. I'm not saying that he can't, but he likes to shape it. I feel like, because even when he's using urethane, he's usually a sliding, feet on 10, feet on 15 guy using urethane. Whereas Buttriff, I don't really even think he can play that straight with his mechanics, his footwork. I think he's always going to be shaping it, especially because of the rev rate, his release, et cetera, et cetera. Definitely creating more hook, more reaction. Whereas Jesper, he's real good at getting on the crack and playing that crack, and that's what he did. You're right. He did the opposite. He said, "Okay, they're doing that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get further left, and I'm going to play that crack." And yeah, it looked real good. It looked real good. I only took Buttriff and the under that last game just because I was going to be even no matter what, so I was sort of betting on the odds more so than betting on the match. But yeah, it didn't work out on that one either.
Yeah, I was a little bit. I actually put some money on Buttriff at plus 700 to win today for futures. So I actually usually would just run a little hedge, and since Jesper was actually plus 120 going into that match, hindsight's 2020. But if I look back at it, I probably should have just put like a $25 bet on Jesper and then just made money regardless who wins. But I doubled down on Buttriff because of previous shows with Jesper just struggling on carry down. And I was adamant that he wasn't going to bowl good because I thought he was going to be trying to play where Buttriff was playing. And it was just going to be a low scoring, like nasty affair. And Jesper surprised me, and shout out to him, man. Played something different than when anybody else on any of the shows were doing, was able to do something that none of the other lefties could do. And he just did it enough to win, and he won his second TOC. So congrats to Jesper, man. When he has it with that urethane, he's really good. He's really good. When he doesn't have it, it's when he struggles. But also, yeah, big shouts to Buttriff too, man. What a performance. Winning 5 matches on TV. I mean, he bowled yesterday, he won, and then he had almost climbed the ladder today. So yeah, on a tough year that Butters had last year, and all the shit he was dealing with, and a lot of the things that was happening in his life, and we talked about this in our preview of 2025. Butters was my redemption story this year, and I think he proved today that he could still bowl if the left is good, and he's able to find his kind of groove. Like, he's pretty good. He's one of the best in the world, really. So yeah, it was good to see Butters back and bowling for a major, for a title.
Agreed.
So, all right, well, let's get to the awards real quick. Worst of the week, and we will get the people out of here. I'm going to go do Spare Shooter because I kind of feel like I already know who you're giving it to. So I'll let you talk. Kevin Williams. Okay, we agree because that's.
I mean, really, he probably cost himself at least a handful of thousands of dollars today by not making those spares yesterday. Because if he bowls McCune the first match today, he likely wins. If he bowls EJ the second match, he likely wins. If he bowls Fa the third match, he likely wins. And he probably could have walked out of there with a $50,000 check. You know,
it's a big if, but I could see it.
Right? If
Yeah.
all things go the way they went, yeah, like yes.
The one positive thing I could say about Kevin is that spare shooting is something where you could practice and get better at, right? So it's not it's you have to be able to make spares, and you're that level, especially on TV shows, match play, all of it. And you could get better at it just by practicing. So it's like definitely something he could work on and get better at, and maybe next time he makes that spare.
Yeah, Victor in the chat saying, by the way, seeing Jesper that pumped up to win was great to see. I agree,
It
but
was.
realize that I think I saw like the earnings after today's event, and he's now second in earnings for the year at 140 some thousand, 145, 47, something like that. So I mean, before today, he had only made 47,000 for the year. Coming from overseas, being here for months and months. I mean, could you imagine all the money you're spending, traveling, staying places, just on food, eating, etc. And the guy's only made 47,000. Well, guess what? After that win today, he's the second leading money winner on tour for the year. So I'd be hyped too. I'd be hyped too if my salary tripled in one day. And that's amazing. So yeah, shout to him. Great bowling. He deserved it.
For sure. All right, let's go with I See You, Haas. I think we might actually have the same award winner there because I gave I See You, Haas to Mika.
Okay.
Mika's
got to be the milk carton.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, you could do both. I don't do milk carton anymore. I don't do milk carton anymore.
Okay, I See You, Haas has to go to Darren Tang. It's got to go to Darren Tang.
Okay.
Mans has been struggling with the two-handed switch. Mans has been at the bottom of the pack for a lot of the year. Mans had a great week this week.
He did.
Almost made the show. Finished in 12th. Got to be feeling good. Got to be feeling good with the way he was coming around at the end of the season. So I want to give him a shout. I want to say, I See You, Haas, to Darren Tang.
Robert's giving it to Ben Stiller, which I told people in our social media that I would let everybody know what Ben Stiller was doing there. Ben Stiller is involved in the docu series they are producing for that documentary for the online, right? Possibly I'm hearing HBO, but Ben Stiller is involved somehow in that, which is crazy. It's awesome, right? Ben Stiller to me is one of the top comedians, right? Actors, and love his dad, right? Big Seinfeld fan. So how do you not like Frank Costanza? And Ben Stiller, I mean, there's so many great movies he did that you could just run down. So it's good to see Ben Stiller even involved in bowling, being on the show, because Ben Stiller is not exactly a B type celebrity. Ben Stiller is an A celebrity. There's no doubt. Guy is one of the best comedians. Tug Speedman that needs a kidney. I mean, Gabriel, was that Gabe Flocker? I mean, that's always a good one. I mean, that's so many. Tropic Thunder is definitely one of the top. They brought it up in the cast, but good to see a celebrity at that level being at a bowling event.
True.
Okay. I gave I See You, Haas to Mika, being out of the game bowling and just almost making a show was pretty incredible, honestly. Crazy. Ride with. This is kind of a ride with for throughout the last few weeks, and I'm riding with Kevin McCune.
Okay, I like it.
The kid is bowling great right now. He's making major shows. He's putting on decent performances when he's on TV. And I saw him watching him during qualifying and some of the match play, and he was playing deep too. This kid's not one-dimensional. You know, you could consider his dad a pretty one-dimensional type player. I've seen Eugene play left. I have, but Eugene was more known for being up when you gave Eugene McCune 5 and out, he was almost unbeatable and would be usually leading. Kevin is a little bit more versatile, is able to play left. He can hook it. Great. He's a pretty good spare shooter too, Mike. I mean, some of those spare stats they were throwing up is, you know, nothing to sneeze at. So Kevin is starting to get comfortable, and I feel like when Kevin has it, he's gonna win, and he's gonna win more titles.
Okay. I'm gonna ride with Matt Sanders.
You've given Matt Sanders a lot of slack before.
I have, and you know, Matt Sanders, very defeatist. Does anybody follow Matt Sanders on Twitter? He's hilarious, but he's very self-defeating. You know, like he just it's tough. Got to be a tough outlook to have. But he bowled great this week. I watched him a lot. He bowled great. I actually bet on him a lot Wednesday night. Sorry, I was parlaying him with Jesper, and you know, I think after making the show this week and bowling well, you know, hopefully that gets him mentally turned around and more thinking a little bit more positively. So yeah, I'd want to ride with Matt Sanders and see if there's a change in mentality after his performance this week.
I like it. A couple of people in the chat that are riding. Kevin Haybear wants to ride with Stu Williams. Back-to-back match plays in majors and entertaining to talk to. That's for sure. And yeah, it would be an interesting ride. Who am I not riding with, Mike? I'm not riding with AJ Johnson.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm not riding with AJ Johnson, I actually spoke to him for a pretty decent amount of time at the induction ceremony. I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself. And he wants to win as badly as anybody on tour. AJ Johnson is one of the pros that I would say has that dog in him. I do think AJ Johnson has that dog in him. I would only put a few players, in my opinion, on the who has that dog in him category, and I think he's one of them. Tim Foy's another. And he couldn't have been happy with his performance on TV, even though the lanes weren't great. They were tough. His reaction wasn't very good. I know Brett Spangler went on social media and actually took responsibility for putting him in the wrong balls or putting him in the wrong place, whatever. But it just didn't have a good look. And bowling for a major on a show, I can't imagine him being a very happy camper. So I wouldn't have wanted to ride with him.
Okay, I am not riding with Brad and Kyle.
Okay. Okay.
It's been a long, frustrating season for those guys. The blog at times, has gotten somewhat dark through this season. I watch almost every episode they put out, and yeah, at a certain point, it definitely turned a little bit negative in terms of what was going on out there. And I think it's been a long year, and yeah, I just don't think it's going to be a very upbeat ride home for those guys. You know,
Okay.
they're definitely upbeat on camera, but again, like this year, I sense that you that veneer started to crack a little bit. I think is what I'm saying. You know, you saw a little bit more of the frustration and the pain of not performing well on a repeated basis. So I definitely wouldn't be riding with Brad and Kyle.
Gotcha. Good. That's a good one. All right. Let's go to we're gonna save dumpster diving for last.
Okay.
Who took the heat? I'm giving it to Buttriff, man.
Okay.
Buttriff had won 5 matches, dude, and he had a couple of shots there that he needed to strike to win the matches. His spare shooting was mostly good. You know, the 2-4-7s didn't really help. He missed 2 of them. I think it almost missed the third to lose to Tackett. I thought he chopped it when he shot that. But ultimately, though, in order to win 5 matches on TV in a row, you have to be able to take the heat, and he did.
Yeah, there's not too many choices here, right? And I think Buttriff is a good choice. I think Jesper's a good choice here. I'll go Packy though. Handling the heat of being in that position round match on a 9-man show, and I actually watched that last game that he bowled, and he bowled an incredible game in that situation. So yeah, I would give it to him.
Okay. All right, let's go to dumpster diving, because for me, there's really only one winner here of dumpster diving.
Oh my goodness! Look at
So
this.
how?
Look at this comment. Look at this comment. Scott in the chat says, and this must be from the earnings list. Brad, 84th, $2,350. Kyle, 72nd, $3,250. Scott says, time to get a real job with benefits. Woof. Rough, Scott.
Taking strays.
Rough.
Taking strays. Yeah, they probably made a lot more money from their YouTube channel than they did from their bowling earnings. That's for sure. Okay, dumpster diving. For me, there's only one right choice here. For how good the left had it this week,
oh boy,
I have to give it to 2025 USBC Masters champion Gary Haynes for what I believe he finished almost second to last, Mike.
Third from second to last, yeah.
Second to last for how good he had the USBC Masters, just winning 100,000. And then coming to a tournament like this and the left being as good as it was to finish second to last is definitely dumpster diving award worthy, in my opinion.
I'm sorry to do this because this guy's my guy. He was even in the chat earlier, I think. And I got much love for this guy. He knows that. He knows that. But no.
Oh.
I gotta call a spade a spade. You know, I gotta keep it real. That's what we do around here. I gotta give dumpster diving gold medal this week to DJ Archer. I mean, he only beat Gary Haynes and D-Ron Booker, who are not seniors, and he got beat by 2 seniors. So gotta give it to you.
Well, me could beat everybody. Me could beat everybody.
3 seniors actually. Well, 4 seniors. Sorry, 4 seniors because Barnes is in that too. 5 seniors because Darty's in that too. Sorry. Foy didn't get in. Foy didn't get in, Nico. So I don't think you're eligible if you don't get in. I was shocked by that though. I will say that.
That field for PTQ was brutal, Mike.
Yeah, it was.
Top to bottom, it was players.
Yeah.
And they took, I think, 8 out of the whatever PTQ numbers there were, like 40-something bowlers that were. Look at that roster from top to bottom of that PTQ were just players up and down that list. So not easy to do to make a top 8, regardless of how you're bowling this year when the field is that strong. All right, Mike, you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, Jeff, I saw your comment earlier about my speech. I appreciate that, bro. Especially coming from a Stuyvesant graduate. Appreciate that. Just want to let you know. Just wanted to let you know I saw that. Thank you.
You always talk about it with Stuyvesant.
Well, look it up. I've read books on the place, okay? Look it up. You don't believe me? Do your research and look it up, okay?
I know. Hey, I tested for it. I didn't get it.
No. Were you close?
I don't even know. They don't tell you.
Did you get into one of the other academy high schools?
No, but I got into a program that was for Midwood High School. It was like the medical science program. So but I think they got me into that program because I was actually a pretty good bowler in middle school, and there was a good bowling high school team. So they put me in there for my bowling, not because of my intelligence. So hey, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know, especially if you're a decent bowler and the high school's trying to recruit you. All right, Mike, you ready to do worst of the week here?
Let's do it. All right, go ahead, Rob. You go first.
All right, so this got posted in our group chat. And speaking of Darren Tang, this post was actually a post like a proud post from Darren Tang about how he bowled really well, and it was a good post. And I know Darren. I've spoken to him whenever I'm around, and he is the nicest, grounded kid who's especially smart, right? Spoke to him in lengths about his YouTube channel, social media. He gave me some advice on what I could do to grow this channel. And I have nothing but nice things to say about Darren Tang. I actually want to bring him on the show. He gave me his info. I have to reach out to him. I'd like to get him on, talk about the two-handed switch, and just get his perspective on how his year went. But my worst of the week goes to Mike Carey. So if you know Mike Carey, he deserves this. Sounds like a huge two-handed hater. Darren Tang was talking about how his hard work paid off in finishing what Mike talked about, finishing in 12 or 13th this week at the TOC. And this Mike Carey writes, "The work paid off, ? Sounds like you chose to skip the work and just add another hand to cheat the game and grab a couple of extra free pins." This is an ignorant, dumb comment from somebody who doesn't know a thing about bowling. Okay? Because speaking from someone personally who tried to switch to two-handed, it takes a lot of work to switch from one-handed to two-handed and to do it at the highest level from what Darren is doing it. Okay? I don't think you understand, Mike Carey, how hard it is to do what he's doing right now. And if you don't, then do it yourself. If you guys are one-handed yourself out there and you don't believe me, what I'm saying, go drill up a ball for two-handed, watch some YouTube videos, and then go switch and do it for 2 to 3 months, and then come back and tell me that's not extremely hard to do it. And for somebody to just put Darren down on his post because he's some two-handed hater and just thinks that two-handed bowling is cheating and whatever is absurd and ignorant.
Well said. My worst of the week was easy for me. I talked about it earlier. My worst of the week, I'm sorry to do this because I love them, but Bet Rivers, you dropped the bag, son.
Bet Rivers.
You dropped the bag.
Bet Rivers, what worst of the week? I love it. We should DM them and congratulate them for winning worst of the week.
You dropped the bag. What can I say? You took my enjoyment away from me, being in the building, being able to bet. So yeah,
I like it. All right, Mike, you ready to wrap this up?
Let's do it. All right, final thoughts, Rob.
Nothing. I think there's a lot of us in the Bill O'Neill camp that are still on cloud nine from him being inducted into Hall of Fame. We had a really, really enjoyable night with just family, all of his family, your family, PJ's family, like the kids, craziness. It's the reason why I'm probably not a parent. I can't take all of the craziness that ensues. But after we had an after party, and it was only like a lot of the close friends and some of the pros that were there, able to spend just time with guys like Belmonte, Mike Fagan, Simonson. I mean, just a whole group. Tommy Jones, right? Like, just a lot of just fun. Good seeing a lot of those guys, being able to just kind of bullshit with them in general. They love bagging on each other, and it's really like fun. It's fun to like listen to and watch. They love bagging on me. They love bagging on you. But
They
that's
love
the
banging
way.
on me. Everybody loves banging on me.
Well, you're the first
Everybody
person
loves
that
hating
I've
on Big Mike. It's all right though. I can take
well
it.
per per Bill O'Neill, you're the only person that he's ever met that could be right and wrong at the same time, which is definitely a great way to explain you. But it's a very, very, very great night, and I'm glad I was able to go and enjoy it, and I will definitely look forward to maybe one day going again, somehow, some way, to enjoy that night.
Yeah, the after party was dope. The after party was dope. We had a great time. It was a late night. It was a late night, especially with all of us trying to roll out the next day. I remember you leaving and being like, "Oh, my flight's in 4 hours. I might as well go get a couple hours of sleep." Like, oh my god.
And then I
Uh,
got there. I got to the plane. They boarded me, and then they deplaned me, and I was on a 4-hour delay on 2 hours of sleep.
oh, oh
And
my
then I
goodness.
tried to watch the show, and I fell asleep in the title match because I couldn't stay up anymore.
You're lucky you didn't miss your flight after falling asleep.
Oh my god! No, I'm talking about when I got home.
Oh, you were home. Okay, all right,
I was
gotcha.
home by then, so
Okay.
yeah. But well worth it. Well
Oh,
worth it.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. My final thought is just, I know there's a few more events to go for the season. Uh, and not to say that we're really interested in the team thing that they have going on, but I am interested in the playoffs. I will be following that, and I am going to go to the tour finals because it's in Bethlehem, not far from me, and Bill is bowling. But my final thought is just that I hope things work out. I
Mm.
do. I'm worried. I'm concerned. And it's far beyond all this or the betting or whatever. I know I kid about those things, but really, I'm concerned for the players. This is how these guys make their living. A lot of them. So yeah, I really hope it works out for their benefit. Uh, and I hope that next year, we're again, regardless of where it might be. I hope that we're looking at uh, another vibrant, exciting season of PBA bowling.
I want to bring up Lumber's comment. Lumber wants to know if he gets to use STR Top Fan Facebook badge to get VIP access to PBA events now. Everybody at the Hall of Fame ceremony seemed to know the pod. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to get cleared into a
Probably a
VIP
better
access.
chance. Probably a better chance they tell you you're not allowed in, Hoss.
You probably should tell them you don't know our podcast, but yeah, it was cool to get recognized, even if it was a slight. Tom Clark, throwing at us playfully, which was cool. It was fun to just having a lot of pros and people in the industry come over and tell us that they enjoy watching our show, and even talking about betting and having some of these conversations with some of these high level people in the industry, in the sport, is surreal in a way, because we started, you talked about Bill and his come up. It's cool to know that we have a sort of come up to, in a way, just starting from really like nothing and nobody, never doing anything like this before. So yeah, we appreciate everybody. We appreciate the fans that come on. Family. It's more family than it is fans. I get emailed and messaged all the time from people just wanting to just talk about their experiences, emails. So yeah, on that note, Mike, give him this spiel on how to reach out to us.
No doubt. Hit us up. Email us, sweeptherack@gmail. Follow us on social media. We do most of our chatting on X. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I'm at the 215th. We appreciate everybody joining us. We appreciate everybody showing up and showing out.
Mike,
I appreciate everybody's comments and et cetera. Like I said earlier, I greatly appreciate everybody that's reached out. Go ahead.
I'm going to read Jeff's comment. Maybe you both will get into the PBA Hall of Fame media category one day. I can't see it. No. I don't see it. Maybe when we're like in our 60s and we've been doing the show for like 25 years, they probably have to give it to us at that point. But no, I don't see it. I mean,
it's the recognition is for the players.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not going to turn it down, but I don't see it happening. But it's fun either way for people just to even know we exist at this point, to listen to our spiel and off the rails armchairing. What'd you call it? Armchair.
We make overcritical observations. An armchair quarterback. Yes.
It's pretty much what we did. But anyway, we appreciate it. And yeah, we'll catch everybody maybe next week. We'll see what the week turns out to look like. I don't know if we'll be on next weekend, but we'll let everybody know on social media.
All right, sounds good. Everybody, have a good week. We'll see you next week.
There you guys.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.